Okay, so we've got another interval workout here today. It's going to be very lower body dominant. Yesterday we had a pretty upper body dominant workout with the weightlifting and the gymnastics. So today is going to be a pretty heavy conditioning session that's really lower body dominant. This is the interval workout that the CrossFit Games athletes did on Saturday. And the way this works is that you're going to work one round and then rest, and then work the opposite round on the way back. Total time is for both intervals. Now, the way that the Games athletes did this is that they had a set start time. So they started the first round at 0, obviously, and then the second round started at 6 minutes, whether you were ready for it or not. For athletes at that level, they were finishing this around 4 minutes, which means they had about 2 minutes to rest before they turned around and came back. For most of us, it's unlikely that we're going to finish in that 6-minute zone. So give yourself some flexibility and don't feel like you have to be held to that hard start. The way I would approach this is to mentally plan on a 2-minute rest, regardless of how long that first interval takes you. And that'll give you kind of a similar sense as to what this workout's all about. Another way to play that is if you don't have high confidence that you can finish that first round anywhere close to 6 minutes, like maybe you think, oh man, I'm looking at this, it's going to take me 10, 11 minutes just to get through the first part. In that case, it's time to scale it down so that you can feel that kind of shorter effort that's repeated. But if you're close, you have the capacity to do this, but you just don't think you can do it in 6 minutes, give yourself that extra rest time. Just call it a 2-minute rest and then return and come back. On a bigger picture, this is a really cool highlight of just how fit some of the top athletes in the CrossFit Games are. You can obviously compare your times to theirs. But what I think is interesting around this one is that there's nothing super exotic about the movements in this particular workout. And if we look at that whole day that the CrossFit Games athletes did, it's true across the board. They ran a 5K in the morning, they did this in the middle of the day, and then they did an Olympic lifting total. And so that's something I would encourage you, if you're interested in this sort of thing, go out and try this entire day of competition. It's pretty accessible. You know, most of us can do a 5K, even if it's not that fast. Most of us can do this workout, even if it's not going to be comparable to the top athletes. And most of us can put up an Olympic lifting total, even if it's not going to turn heads at an Olympic lifting meet. And it'll kind of give you a sense of the breadth of not only what these athletes are like at the top, but what we want out of a CrossFit athlete. This is exactly what we are talking about when we think about an athlete that's good across the board. Can they do a more kind of traditional stamina test? Are they strong? Can they mix things together and go hard? You know, this really kind of paints that picture. So I would encourage you to do that. Pick a day, see if you can knock it all out in a day. If that's a little too aggressive, maybe pick 2 or 3 days and just kind of plan this out and see where you fall across this series of tests. But if you just want to follow along with the main site too, that's cool. Hit this interval workout hard, and we'll come back and talk about the next 3 days in a little bit.